Welcome to the Chronically Will podcast, where we hold real conversations with community that need to be heard. On today's episode, I have the honor of speaking with Adrianne. Adrianne is someone that I'm new to in this space, in this community, but I'm hoping to get to know her. And hopefully everyone who's tuning in will also get to know her, because Adrianne is someone that you should get to know, someone you should get to hear, because I'm sure, like everyone else, she has a story and she has a message that must be delivered. Adrianne, I truly appreciate you for joining me on this journey. Thank you. Could you just give me a brief summary of who you are?
And thank you for having me. So my name is Adrianne. I have been type 1 diabetic for 9.5 years. So I was diagnosed in my early 20s. I currently work for a county government in the retirement administration. I'm married. I have a brand new niece, so I'm also an auntie now. I have a couple of siblings, no pets, but my hobbies are reading, wine tasting, and going to the movies.
Reading, wine tasting, and going to the movies. Have you ever done all of them together?
Maybe one after the other. I have brought a book to a winery and have just had a glass of wine and read my book. But I don't think I've gone to the movies after. I may watch a movie at home afterwards, but I might have to insert a movie theater time in there.
Have you ever drank wine in a movie theater?
Yes, I often do.
Often. Look, where are these movie theaters at? Because they don't have them around here. That must be a West Coast thing. Where are you located?
In Northern California, Sacramento, to be specific.
Oh, Sacramento. I recorded with someone recently who's in that area. Yeah.
Is it Shanice?
No, it was not Shanice.
No. Okay.
No.
Because she's the one who introduced me to your podcast.
Hold on. I'm trying to look. In this space that is the diabetic online community, every single person that follows me or I follow or either living with insulin dependent diabetes or the caregiver for someone. So there's so many people. So when you say Shanice, I'm like, who is that? Sorry.
Okay.
I apologize, Shanice. When we have this when we sit down and have this conversation, Shanice, I will say, Adrianne did mention you. How did I? Because I'm sure everyone that looks like us, I have lined up to be on this podcast. Over 103 guests so far.
That's amazing.
And that's in a 2-month, two-month span.
That's awesome. All over the U.S.?
Not even just the U.S. Abroad, in the UK, Uganda,
Wow.
Nigeria. I have 2 guests from Uganda, France, all over.
Love that.
So I'm not local. When I started out, it was local. So a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I first created this campaign, Diabetes Looks Like Who. That was for World Diabetes Day 2021 was the first one. And I reached out to people all around the US that live with type 1 diabetes and asked them, could they give a 30-second to 1-minute intro on who they are and just anything they want to let the community know. And then 2022, I reached out to all of them people and I said, I wanted to create another one called Passing the Torch. So those original, I want to say 19 people reached out to someone else. And so we got both of their stories. So it'll be like, I'm Will, I live with type 1 diabetes, but this year I'm passing the torch to Adrianne. And then you would give your story. And so
Gotcha.
This past November for World Diabetes Day, I did Diabetes Looks Like Who? Representation Matters. And I reached out to people of color. And we got over 83 responses. People of all different age groups all around the world, and created that video. So yeah, I'm not local. I'm trying to, I'm trying to, my main goal is lessening the burden that is
Mm,
living with type 1 diabetes
mm,
for everyone. Not as many people as I can, but for everyone. And that starts with just having conversations.
absolutely.
Yep, yep. So you were diagnosed in your early 20s. Do you remember that
Yes.
exact age? Because I was diagnosed at 20 years
Um,
old.
22. I was 22.
22. 22. You had an entire lifetime, and you more than likely were on a path and a journey to be everything you wanted to be. And then this diabetes ball came rolling down the hill, and no matter how much you try to dodge it, like, no, I can't have diabetes. That ball hit you, and it hit
It did.
hard. It hit
Oh yeah.
it hit all of us hard,
Mhm.
right? I mean, were you upon that original diagnosis and them telling you you have diabetes? Did you ever say to yourself, "No, I don't," or say like how? Like,
Yeah. Well, one, I found out in an email.
wow,
My doctor
that's
didn't even call me.
that's a first.
She she emailed me my test results, and my A1C was a diabetic A1C. And she's like, "Here's all the things you got to do. Come back in 3 months for another blood test. Go get your, metformin prescription, and like, see you later." And I remember my friend was sleeping over at that day, and I gave her my phone and I said, "Read this and tell me we're reading the same thing." And she couldn't believe that they just emailed me.
Did
And I got misdiagnosed first. They gave me a type 2 diagnosis at first. And so I was on metformin for like a month and a half, 2 months, um, feeling awful, losing weight. And no one in my family is diabetic. So everyone was really surprised that I got type 2. Um, and so my family really pushed for me to like ask more questions, like, this clearly isn't working. You always have eaten right and exercised well. And at the time, I very much associated diabetes with, you know, uh, sedentary
lifestyle?
lifestyle, poor health choices. Sure, genetic was genes were a factor, but I really associated with all these like really negative life decisions that I wasn't making. So why did I get slapped with this like illness?
That was at no
And
fault of your own. No fault of your own. So for the last 10 years, I've been teaching, educating in media literacy.
mhm,
And we know that proponent of media, how it is, how dynamic it is, how impactful it is, how influential it is.
mhm.
And media has told us all for the last 100 plus years that diabetes means that unhealthy.
Clearly the medication wasn't working. And I was already underweight at the time. And so the fact that I was losing more weight was concerning to my doctor. So she sent me to a genetic counselor to basically do like a gene test to see if I had some rare form of diabetes. And maybe that's why the medication wasn't working. Uh, but the genetic counselor looked at my chart and she goes, "Wait, they haven't even tested you for type 1 yet." And I'm like, "I don't know. I go where they tell me to go." Like was like vaguely aware of type 1 because a couple of people in my like elementary school K through 12 days had it. But I associated with, people who get diagnosed as children, when I was 22, like I didn't even think that was a possibility. And sure enough, I had 2 out of the 3 autoantibodies for type 1. And so they took me off metformin and started me on insulin and put me through all these classes, and the rest is history.
Now, do you think that you started off with where you was it a slow onset like Lotta?
Um, that's not what my chart says. It's my chart just says I have juvenile diabetes, but I think it's LADA because how it progressed, I believe, like through my life, it was very slow.
Mm.
And the fact that I only had 2 out of the 3 makes me still think that it was still like further developing. So sometimes I say LADA, sometimes I just say type 1 just to simplify it.
I
But
mean,
from my
today,
understanding of late onset, yeah.
yeah. So today, I mean, late onset becomes type 1. It's just a slow
Mm,
progression. So some people even like it's considered really like a long honeymoon.
mm,
So there's been people I've had conversations with that actually went through that for 10, 12 years before it was strictly type 1 needing insulin 24/7, 365. So
sure.
I mean, you said you were emailed these results. Was there a suspicion of you having diabetes, or were you sick, or?
Yeah, so I fell asleep weird one night and I woke up to my foot, it, that feeling when your like hand or foot falls asleep, that
Mhm.
pins and needles type feeling. I woke up with that sensation. And normally, that goes away after a while, so I didn't think of it, but it stayed like that for like a day and a half. Um, and so I emailed my doctor saying like, hey, like my foot's been asleep for a day and a half. I don't know what's going on. Like I know I slept on it weird, but I've never had this feeling for this long. And she told me to come in so they could, run some tests. And one of the tests she ran was an A1C. Um, so that's the test that she emailed me saying like, oh, your foot, it feels like this because you're diabetic. And here you go. Here's all the things you need to do now.
Do you remember how high that A1C was?
It wasn't very high. It was 8.9.
I understand what you're saying, because most people are like, when you hear people, they're like, my A1C was 17, 15, 14, things of that
Right.
nature. I have
Right.
reported with people who A1C upon diagnosis was like 6.9.
Mm,
Very, very, very low on that, like that border of being diabetic or not. But usually when it does come back elevated, or I'm not going to say usually, but when it does come back elevated, more tests should be ordered. That autoantibody test should be ordered. You said you had 2 out of 3 autoantibodies. So there are 5 autoantibodies for type 1 diabetes, but you can have 1 autoantibody. You have 2.
hmm hmm
Originally I had 2. I think I have 4. Yeah, I have 4 now. So they develop differently, and it doesn't even the amount of auto antibodies you have do not dictate or depict how much insulin you have or
Right.
need. Is that the kind of conversation you and your doctor had, where they would like email you things instead of actually giving you that phone call?
Yeah, and I'm not sure. So I have Kaiser. I don't know if other medical providers are different, but I find that my providers normally speak to me via email. And I kind of get it. Like it's good to have a paper trail of like things that were said.
Mhm.
But for a diagnosis like that, I would have loved like a softer conversation, you know, because I couldn't believe it. And she was a new doctor too. So like, I don't think she really knew like my family history yet. She didn't really know anything about me. And this was like our first interaction was like, oh, my patient is type 2. Good.
So I've been having this conversation again. I told you with so many people, and when that diagnosis is presented to you, that's a entire new traumatic experience. The questions, the whys, the hows, the big one, how long am I going to live with this? Um, just the sense of if once you let your friends and family, co-workers, peers know the sense of rejection. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's so great of a traumatic experience. And I've been fighting, and I've been telling everyone I've communicated with to fight. It shouldn't be a fight, but let your medical team know that if you're diagnosing someone with a chronic health condition, equally give them the guided resources so they can get the measurable steps in therapy that are needed upon that diagnosis. Because we can't just say, Adrian, you have diabetes, follow this. Then a couple weeks later, you're having a hypoglycemic episode and everyone sees it and they're like, I don't know what to do. Everyone's panicking. You're panicking. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't tell me this was going to happen. Is
Mm-hmm.
this a part of diabetes or am I having a seizure? Like so many
Right.
different things. Like I mean, it'd be beneficial not only to us, but beneficial to the medical teams, our medical providers as well, because they'll be able to use that information to create a log of documents and information to share with other patients and clients.
Absolutely. And I eventually, like, my doctor did provide, like, oh, this health educator is going to reach out to you for classes. Oh, this person's going to reach out to you for nutrition help. Oh, this person. Oh, that person. But it was like a little too late. Like, I wish I had that at the beginning instead of like stagnant. Cause I would go weeks without hearing from them and then be like, all right, next step is like learning how to do your blood sugar meter, go to this class. A few weeks later, okay, next step is here. And it just felt very automated. There was no personability of it. It was just another diagnosis for them. I was just another number on a chart, another statistic. And this is my whole life that was being affected, uprooted. I had just moved to Sacramento. I transferred to Sac State. And I had to withdraw from my classes because I couldn't mentally handle all the change. And the mental change, the physical change, emotional change, all the responsibilities I suddenly had.
Right.
If I don't take care of myself, I could end up in the hospital.
Right. You said they were stagnant with the information. I don't know. I will never understand why we aren't gifted the education from day one. Because when that information comes stagnant, like how you just said, step here, then a step there, then a step, like it, it takes away from the importance of learning this new condition because it doesn't seem as though they're giving us all of that education that's needed for us to live our best lives. Like you were a college student, you dropped out of school. They could have shared with you, Adrian, we know you're a college student. You're going to need some accommodations to help benefit you so that you will be able to continue along in your journey in education and in life because those accommodations are needed. I mean, many people, it's an ongoing battle and fight in our community where they're saying, "Oh, I have type 1 diabetes, but I don't have a disability." You may not be physically disabled, like no mobility, but considering the mental and physical toll it plays on us day in, day out, nonstop, more so than 24/7. This is nonstop. That aligns with everything a disability is.
Absolutely. And that's kind of why I wanted to come on and talk with you, because that's a big part of my identity now is like letting diabetes define me and not letting that be a bad thing. In this kind of like hustle culture, I feel like we're all being subjected to. We have to be like, oh no, I can do all these things even though I have diabetes. Like I'm a warrior, and it's like, I can do some things today. I might be able to do other things tomorrow. And there's some things I'll probably never be able to do. And that doesn't make me less than. It doesn't mean that I'm not out here grinding every day trying to stay alive. It just means right now in my journey, I don't want to go run a 5K. That's not like, my short-term goal right now. And not being afraid of the word disability or differently abled. That's another, I feel like, good term to use. We experience life different than, able-bodied people, and that's okay.
It's okay. You said not letting diabetes define you, because myself diagnosed at 20 years old, you diagnosed at 22. We knew what our lives were before.
Mm-hmm.
And there were many years where I know that I was fighting myself to be that person I was beforehand. But I was not able to run a 5K without having to dig into a bag and grab some candies, drink a
Mm-hmm.
juice, those types of
Mm-hmm.
things. And those are things that people who are not living with this illness truly they really don't understand or know about. And how do we break that down to them? I've tried many times, even with family members, because they think like, okay, you're an adult, you have diabetes, oh, you're handling that. But there's many days where I'm not handling it all. That snowball is hitting me again. That same snowball from when I was 20 years old hits me. And one thing diabetes has taught me along in my journey is that it may hit me and I may stumble, but I know that the next time I'm faced with that same obstacle, I've learned how to semi avoid it or semi protect myself. And
Mm-hmm.
that diabetes is a daily learning process.
Absolutely. And I see it as, even if maybe I don't learn from it, I at least can prepare myself. Like, this almost always leads to this. We may not know how to, prevent it right now, but at least we can, like, confront it head on. Like, we're prepared, and preparation, I feel like, is the first step. Acknowledging that, you know, adversity is going to happen, and we will deal with it as it comes.
Deal with it as it comes, because diabetes isn't, I mean, it's not going anywhere.
No,
Like
so many chances
seriously.
to try again.
So look, we may have a lucid dream where we're imagining, and this usually happens when we're overnight having hypoglycemic events, having these lucid dreams where we're like imagining like we're in a world of, and diabetes is not affecting us at all. Like, but then we wake up and diabetes is still here. So no
Mhm.
matter what, like no matter how much we wish on it, we pray on it, we fight against it, it's still going to be here. There's nothing we can do physically to get rid of it. Um, that's why upon that original diagnosis, whether you're a child or an adult, that those therapeutic measures need to be put in place to help lessen the burden that is diabetes, because it is a huge burden.
Absolutely.
Now, you were diagnosed at 22 years young. Do you recall your life before those 22 years?
Hmm.
How much, or first might I ask, from 22 to 23, how great of a difference did your life change?
I would say it changed in every sense of the term. Um, I struggled with mental health issues. I struggled with the new responsibilities I had to myself. I struggled with the social stigma that was letting people know that I was diabetic, or like injecting myself with insulin in public. Um, also I just felt also more visible in my family, but not in the way that I wanted, because people would ask me like, how are things going? Or just, I still can't believe that you have this, or, um, are you sure? Like there's no cure. Like, I just felt so seen in a way that I hated. And, I'm the oldest daughter. So like I'm used to like, kind of taking care of everybody else. And it was hard to focus on me. I felt like I didn't deserve it. I felt like, no, I still need to be doing XYZ because this was where my life was taking me. And diabetes was really said like, no, you're going to sit down and you're going to take care of us because you need to. There is no other option. You will do this or not. And it took a long time to overcome the mental health piece. And I would say I still struggle with it sometimes, but that first year was probably the worst year of my life.
The diagnosis of diabetes was the absolute worst time and day of my life. But at the same time, I must say that being diagnosed also gave me a sense of understanding, because I felt like upon diagnosis, I felt like death. Like before, like, because you mentioned being underweight.
Mm-hmm.
Now you knew the answers. You had some
Oh yeah,
answers.
I was always sick. I missed not a lot of school, but I felt like I was sick more often than the other kids. And I would just always have these weird ailments. Like I would get like rashes on my skin, um, would just be chronically tired. Um, and just overall like not feel great. Like you said you felt like death. Like you're always just not well. And I remember when I first started insulin and I gained like 30 pounds in like, I would say the first month of being on insulin. And I finally felt good. I was like, wow, this is how I was supposed to be. Like my body has been starving, for years because insulin like takes, nutrients to your body. And my body wasn't doing that at the capacity it needed. And so I, it, while, like you said, um, diabetes, it brought like a lot of like clarity into your life. I feel like it was for the best, if that's not a way to say it, but it was needed because I was sick and there was an answer out there, and the answer is insulin. And sure, it comes with a lot of baggage, but I can honestly say after learning how to take care of myself after all these years, I've never felt better. I feel good. Every day is, a different, kind of obstacle, but overall, I feel fantastic. And I didn't feel that way a
Let
lot
the
when I was
world
growing up.
know, Adrian, you were diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, but you still feel amazing. Like, diabetes has stopped us at times from doing things. It stops me at least a couple times per day at doing something. Like seriously. I coach my daughter's track team, and I was telling you that like we finished track practice today at 5:45 p.m. here, so 2:45 there.
Mhm.
And during the whole time, like doing the track practice, like I hear my alerts going off, my alarms, like different things. Like I got a bottle of juice here and everything, but I know that like I know my body, I know my mind, I know that today I am better than I was previous days, previous years. So I know how to handle that. And now you got your insulin at 22, it changed or it helped better who the person was that is you, because now, I mean, people who don't have diabetes, who don't use insulin, they don't truly understand why we need insulin. It's a hormone that is missing. You
Mhm.
can't just get rid of this natural hormone that helps you produce energy and think that everything's okay. Everyone's body uses insulin, not just us persons living with type 1 diabetes. It's a need. And when you got that insulin, like you said, you gained 30 pounds. I gained 44 pounds within a 2-month period. I didn't even know that I had lost 40 pounds. Did you really know like you lost so much weight?
Well, so I was always like the smallest in my class, like, not height wise, but like I was 100 pounds all throughout like high school. I was always very thin. And so when I did gain the 30, I realized it right away because I couldn't fit my pants. I couldn't fit my dresses anymore. And then I would look at like old pictures of myself and then current photos. And I'm like, I can't believe I used to look like this, and it feels, some of my family members would praise like, oh, Adrianne, you're always so thin and beautiful, and I'm like, I don't want to go back to that. I'm still thin. I'm not saying that I'm fat at any stretch of the imagination, but we need to stop praising thinness
Right.
as this like sign of being healthy, of like your most like absolute self, because my body was starving, and sure, I was thin, but now I am healthy and I'm at a healthy weight for me. And I don't think I'm any less beautiful for that.
Right. And I have a question for you, Adrian.
Mhm.
Because you were diagnosed like when I was diagnosed in early 20s. How did that change your path, your journey, the trajectory of everything that you saw, your vision? Like you had a vision, a mental and maybe a physical vision board. Like this is what I'm targeting to be and do. How did that diagnosis truly change that?
Um, well, I was a bio major before, so I was taking, pretty hard classes, anatomy, physiology, chemistry. Um, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to be, but I knew I wanted to be a medical provider of some sort, not necessarily a doctor, but, a licensed, clinician of some sort. Because I did want to help people. But I couldn't cut it. The demand of having to study for those kinds of tests while essentially learning how to take care of myself again, like I was a baby. I couldn't do both. Um, so I withdrew from that program, and I came back next semester doing something completely different, something that I felt like was easier for me to, not more in my wheelhouse for me to do, where I could finish school and learn how to take care of myself.
Look, when you were talking at first, and I wrote baby because I was like, it was like she came back to school carrying a baby, even though she didn't go through the 9 months of like nurturing this infant in the womb and getting
Right.
that connection. So it was literally a form of post-traumatic stress disorder, but it was like a direct hit. Like there was no lead up to it. It was like
Yeah.
almost
It,
like just throwing someone, like giving you a baby and be like, you have to take care of this baby now.
yeah. Left on my doorstep.
Right. It's like, it's yours. Like, we did the DNA test. It's yours.
Right.
But
It's fine.
I did not carry this child. It's not, but it's yours. Like, it's no one else's. You have two of the three and auto antibodies. Like,
There's a 99% chance this is your baby. So here you
Right,
go.
right. I don't care what Mari said, and
Right.
like that was like it's a lot. Like, like I remember being in school and just like I can't do this right now. Like I cannot. That was a big thing I was telling my parents upon my diagnosis. Like I cannot focus. Like
Hmm.
I truly can't focus. Like I felt like everything was in my head. Like it was full. Like it was about to like blow up. Like literally.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and at the same time, I felt as though like when I would like sit down and take breathers and try to like mentally decompress, like I felt as though I needed to do something still. Like, okay, what's about to happen now with my diabetes? Because now that I'm sitting down, I'm thinking more about it. So, I mean, I decided for like those first few years, like I really ignored diabetes. Like
Hmm.
I had it, but where it was, I gave insulin. That's all I remember. True moments of, I guess that was an initial onset of like a burnout.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I did a no call, no show to my job. Uh and I've never done that. I felt so guilty afterwards, but I couldn't do it. I didn't feel like I could give any ounce of my energy to anybody else because I needed all of it. Um,
I mean, that was better than going in there and just walk it off. Like, I can't do this and just leaving.
right. And at the time I was working at Sac State's daycare, like with like 6 month olds to like 12-month olds. And I was like, you have to be able to give so much of yourself to take care of, a
Adrian,
child, as you know.
how many babies were they trying to give you? How many, look,
I, I
babies
I
on
was in
top of
charge of
babies?
five kids.
Oh,
I was, I,
and then you have your own baby, your own new,
yeah,
like
mm-mm,
your own diabetic born.
right.
Yeah, that's a lot. But you made it out. Look at you. You made it out.
I I'm great. I'm great now.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
there's some scars,
Those
but I'm great.
look, those wounds are there. Battle scars. You know, we take them. Look, took a few punches, fell down a few times, woke up shaking a bunch of times.
Many a time.
Many times.
Many a time.
Look, but we're better today. So I mean, but you did have those periods in time where it wasn't always what it is today.
Hmm.
Do you recall like diabetes? I'm not going to say at your worst because I can't even depict like when diabetes was at its worst for me because
Hmm.
I mean I wouldn't ever consider diabetes anything other than its worst. Like even
Fair.
though I mean today I live with an A1C. I have been for the last 6 years at A1C below 5.6. But
Wow.
at that same time, diabetes is still here because I remember those 14.7s. I remember being above 10 for 7, 8 years. Like I remember those days. That's why I'm like, I will never ever go back to that. Never. And do you remember those punches, those blows, like waking up with the shakes and all that stuff?
Yeah. So I mentioned, my foot being asleep. So they were saying that I had like injury induced neuropathy. So like for the first few years, was like wearing like a medical boot on and off because I couldn't feel the bottom of my feet hardly ever.
And
Um,
and that was at the like early on in your diagnosis.
and they didn't want to give me the neuropathy diagnosis because I guess typically you're diabetic for at least like 10 years before you get neuropathy. And I argued, like, well, who knows how long this has been going on?
Mhm.
All I know is I can't feel my feet, and that's the problem. Or I mean, I had reduced sensation, so it wasn't alarming enough to like warrant, amputation or anything like that. but it was debilitating enough that I had to wear like a medical boot on and off when the pain would get severe. So on top of like seeing the um, the neuropathy doctor, I can't remember what they're called. I was seeing
The
an
neurologist.
endocrinologist.
Were you seeing a
I
neurologist?
guess it's neurologist. Yeah, I guess
Or
neurologist. So I was
that
seeing a neurologist for my neuropathy. I was seeing an endocrinologist for my diabetes. I was seeing a dietitian for my diabetes. I was seeing a psychiatrist for my depression.
for your
I
diabetes?
was just always for my diabetes. I was just always at the hospital. And I think that was the worst time when I was just having to like divide myself into all these isms and go like seek treatment. And then I'm supposed to go to school and be a functioning human? No,
And on top of that,
that wasn't going to happen.
look, on top of that, your family was like, Adrian, she's still thin and fit. She's okay.
Right,
Like,
right.
with all these isms. Yeah,
Uh,
it's a lot of. Do you have any stories of like hypoglycemic episodes?
yeah, gosh, where do I start? Um, I missed my best friend's graduation because I had a hypo while driving to the ceremony. I had to pull over on the side of the road.
Adrian, you just gave me a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's. I've never done this. Let's play this game. You give me a
Okay.
hypo episode, and I give you like back and forth.
We're like rapid fire. Yeah. I had to pull over on the side of the road and like desperately get a juice box. And I wanted to like cut it open and just like inject it in me somehow. That's how fast I felt like I was crashing. And that was before a CGM. So I only had like the meter to tell me. That was rough.
My turn. So this is going to be a two-parter. Once I picked my niece up from school and my blood sugar was, I guess it was so low, she only lived quarter mile from my house. I drive past her house and she's like, Uncle Will, you went past my house. She's in like third or fourth grade. I'm like, I can't stop. I can't stop the car. I can't stop. And she's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know. I can't stop. We drove past her house maybe two times, went around in a circle. I have this thing with driving in circles when my blood sugar is low, because that's going to be the second part of this. So I end up driving to my house, and I tell her, I'm like running the house and tell my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, I believe, or maybe we were engaged at the time. And I tell her, I said, tell her that I need some orange juice or whatever, and she's going to have to drive you home. So my niece still remembers this, and she's like, she's 21 now. And yeah, that was that one episode, like in the car, like I could not do anything. I just remember like just like not being able to press the brake at times. Like, you know, it affects those low blood sugars, truly affects you neurologically. And the second one in the car, I drove my mom to work one morning. And after driving her to work, I come back home and I pull into my driveway and I go into my house. Next thing I know, I get a knock at the door. It's a police officer. And he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I could not get the words out. And I'm like, I gotta get some juice. My blood sugar is very low. And I'm pouring orange juice down my shirt. Like, he's like, sir, are you? And he's like, come outside. He's like, look what you did. I'm like, what? I look at my car. The front bumper is dragged, like it's cracked and then been dragging on the ground. And he's like, a neighbor said you kept on circling the block. That's what I said. I keep driving in circles. She's like, you kept on circling the block. So they traced back to where the crash, like what happened, and they went all the way to my mom's job, which is probably about 15 minutes from my house at the time. And they drove all the way back to my house, and they said that it happened on a corner. Like, of my neighborhood that I ran into a light pole. Ran into the light pole, backed up, and started circling the block.
My story is pale in comparison. Mine are I've
Yeah.
never that's
Well,
one of my fears, honestly, because you could have gotten your license taken away.
I did.
Oh, you did? Oh God.
And you just reminded me that when you just said it, 'cause I forgot. I had it taken away for 6 months. I had to
I
go
couldn't
see,
imagine.
like, I had to go through like some mental health training and everything, like some classes, some
Mm-hmm.
defensive driving courses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was I'm trying to. I don't. That was maybe 2013-ish.
Wow.
Diabetes is fun.
I have a funny one recently. I went to the dentist's office and I kind of felt myself going low and I didn't have anything on me. And I go in and the hygienist is talking to me and I said, "Hey, I have a weird question for you." And she's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead." And I said, "Do you guys have anything for people who are experiencing hypoglycemia?" She's like, "Yeah, we do. Do you need something?" I'm like, "Yeah, I feel my blood sugar going low and I'm worried that if we continue with the exam, I'm going to crash during the end. I don't want that to happen." She's like, "Oh yeah, let me go get it." And so she leaves and I'm waiting and I can my hands are like trembling because for me, my hypos are like, it's shaky. Like it looks like I'm not convulsing, but I'm visibly like this. And so she comes back with this awful tube of the rapid, glucose
Glucose
stuff.
gel.
Yeah. And she's like, "Have you ever used these before?" I'm like, "Actually, no, this has never happened. I normally either have something, or, I normally have something." And so I take the tube and then the doctor comes in and she's like, "Hey, what's going on, guys?" Like, like the manager of the place, she's like, "I heard someone needed a hypo, a glucose gel. Like, is everything okay?" Like, you could tell she was ready to jump in to either call 911 or get the right people in. But the way she just came around the corner, like, "So, who took the glucose gel? What's happening?"
Well, she was the
I'm
glucose
like, "It's just
police.
me. It's just me." The most disgusting thing ever. It tasted like fluoride, which is so funny because I was at the dentist.
Mm.
But yeah, the doctor was hovering the rest of the exam, just like, "Everything good? Everything okay?"
Look, and now you're known as that. You're known as the glucose girl when you come in.
Probably. I'm sure next time I come in, that it's probably already in my chart.
Wouldn't it be nice if they knew or looked at your charts and were able to identify you as a person with insulin dependence, and they had some kind of medical CGM there in every medical office that they can insert right there, and it works like rapidly, not waiting 30 minutes or 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be nice.
I will say, to give them some credit, they when I first started going there, they did like a patient history, so they know I'm diabetic, and so it was within the realm of their understanding. But the response was just so funny. You could tell they went from 0 to 60. They really cared for me and my glucose needs.
Look, every time I go into like I remember going to get my wisdom teeth taken out just to feed off go off like being in the dentist. And how most people the most people are like, put me to sleep basically. I will every time I've had to go in for any type of minor operation or anything, I'm always like, nope, you're gonna keep me awake. I'm like, and that's probably more so based off I have severe hypo unawareness and I've had it from the beginning. I've been seriously, I can be at 50 and just be chilling. Like, and I remember when I went and got my wisdom teeth taken out, I probably was about 24, 25. And I told them, I'm staying awake. And they're like, seriously? And I'm like, yeah. But as I tell my wife today, every time I close my eyes and I hear like these like machines and stuff, I think of my wisdom teeth coming out
Uh,
because I remember the entire experience. It was like pliers in my mouth and pull and tug and mm. But still, if I had to do it again, I would stay awake.
awake. It's just, I don't trust it either now. I got my wisdom teeth
Right.
taken out before I was diagnosed, and being put under anesthesia is scary. I did not care for it. I cried. I was like 18, but like I cried. I was like, no, I don't want it. And they like try to calm me down. Like we're just gonna talk. It's fine. They must have known that I got enough of the gas because all of a sudden I clocked out.
Look, last year, my youngest son, who was 9 at the time, he had to get a tooth removed.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a double tooth growing in or whatever, and it was like pushing his alignment off. So they were like, we're gonna have to extract it. And I had to record this video because I have to keep it and show him like when he gets older. He's laying in a chair. They give him they put the mask on him, and all of a sudden he starts getting all goofy. And like I'm recording him, and he's like, I can't feel my lips. I can't feel my face. I can't feel my next. He's knocked out. Like after he's talking, and then he wakes up and he's like, where are we? What are we doing here? And like he's yelling. It's like an old man. Like it was like the most hilarious thing ever. Like
That's
don't
funny.
yeah, don't put me under. Don't put me
Mm.
under. um, so I did want to ask you. You said you don't have any family members who, well, that you know of with type 1 diabetes, right?
Correct.
Um, 'Cause, look, for many years I didn't know any family members either until like I found out later that I have a first cousin who's what is Khadija, 13 years younger than me, and she has type 1. She was diagnosed when she was 12, and I didn't know. I don't know why I didn't know because I'm very close to her
Hmm.
brothers.
Hmm.
And my great grandmother in 1954, upon her passing, what her death certificate, which I found 2 years ago, reads death due to acidosis. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, and all the signs leads to type 1 diabetes. They said she
Hmm.
became very ill. It says January 19th, 1954, and she passed February 2nd, 1954. They said she was always like this thin native woman, but they said like she was skin and bones,
Mm.
like, and yeah, her death due to acidosis. And her daughter, my grandmother, who passed in 2003, um, when she passed, like she was going through like brain cancer treatment and all, and that year before she passed, she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Um, they believe like it was triggered from well, it was triggered by the therapies she was going through.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
Mm. I I have like a very distant cousin who's type 1. And I don't even really remember him all the time because I think I've met him maybe once or twice at a family reunion. But I do have a lot of autoimmune in my family, just different, not type 1.
well, we
Like
have
my mom
like
has RA.
hypothyroidism. Oh, RA.
No, rheumatoid arthritis. I have a lot of that in my family. And so I'm wondering
It's a direct
if
connection.
that's where it came from.
It's a direct connection. I
Mhm.
have two aunts with RA, and
Yeah.
it's all maternal on.
Mine
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. And that's crazy. Many people I've spoken to, it's been maternal. Spoke to someone earlier, and she was talking about her mom's side. Oh, well, yeah, her mom's side, and all of her uncles having type 1 diabetes were diagnosed at like 11 and 9 and things like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
It's somewhere.
Right,
There's
right,
a
right,
reason. It's
right.
somewhere in the tree.
And as much as we don't like this gift that is diabetes, we don't want anyone else in our families to get it either. Like
Nope.
no one. Like
I wouldn't
what
wish it on my enemies.
on my worst enemy from third
Yeah.
grade. like Pete, I remember you. Like
Right.
I do not want you to have diabetes because you couldn't handle this.
No.
Like seriously, like you said, the responsibilities of living with diabetes, like I don't even know how to explain them to people. Explaining the day to day of diabetes is like near impossible to explain to someone who's not living with it.
Absolutely.
Like
And
how,
it's um gosh, I lost that thought. Gone. um
yeah, it's near impossible to
go
explain.
ahead. It'll come back to me.
Like, how do you like, because for me, when I try to explain it, I think about like 24 hours of a day.
Hmm.
But I always get stuck at the beginning because I'm like, but what about when I went to sleep and I didn't sleep a lot? When I was unable to sleep for more than 3 or 4 hours on that night, I'm like, diabetes didn't start when I woke up. Diabetes was there when I was sleeping. Diabetes is always there. Like, it does not shut off as we go to sleep. Because, like many people will be like, oh, you're tired, or go take a nap. Or you're not feeling well, go take a nap, go lay down, rejuvenate. When you wake up, you'll be better. Not with diabetes.
Right.
Like, what are you trying to do to me?
Right.
Like, I'm probably tired because my blood sugar's low.
Better is relative. Better to them looks different than better to us.
Hmm.
And I was gonna say, I feel like diabetics and probably, all people with chronic illness, we are so smart. We are so responsible. We are the most intelligent people, the most mindful people, because we've had to learn how to do that. We've had to look death in the face more often than not and tell it no. I want to live. It's gonna be hard, but this is what I got to do to survive. And I just think we're such a strong group of people, and I love meeting other diabetics because everyone, like you said, has a story. Everyone has like a trial. Everyone has something to share. Something that you can benefit from hearing yourself.
Every type 1 I've met or true empaths, like serious, like not just sympathy, but they truly, truly can place themselves in the physical and mental space that what people are going through, issues, whether they're chronic issues, mental issues, physical
Mm-hmm.
issues. Like we can
Mm-hmm.
truly place ourselves there and fully understand and help unravel the causes of those issues so that we can help lessen that burden and better people. And as people live with diabetes, we do that all the time. Like it's a regular occurrence for me, like
Mm-hmm.
nonstop all day. Like we look and we see someone that may be not at their best, and we reach out to offer a hand, a word, a message, anything to uplift them because we know just sometimes just words, just knowing that people truly worry and wonder about us and want us to be at our best, it helps us in uh, really like understanding what it is living with this.
Absolutely. I know I tell my friends all the time, I'm the last person that's going to ask you like why you're canceling plans, or like, I'm not going to, I want you to elaborate about you being sick. You tell me, hey, I can't do this today. Godspeed. You take care of you because I know what you're going through. I can't tell you how many things I've canceled, how many plans have fallen through because of my diabetes. And And I always felt a lot of guilt, but a lot of the time it was something I couldn't control. I'm literally on the floor drinking a juice box. You
Literally
want me to
on
come over?
like I'm
No,
like
I can't do that.
like I'm like literally like a 2-year-old on the floor crawling like to get a juice box, and now I'm having a tantrum like diabetes literally we're 2-year-olds when we're faced with hypoglycemic episodes. Yeah,
And when the low is really bad, the recovery takes a long time. Like, sure, my blood sugars are better, but my mind is not right.
right. They say
I'm foggy.
on
I'm
average it's
disoriented.
at minimum it's 45 minutes per
Yeah,
episode.
yeah. So, like, no, I'm not going to hop right into my car after my blood sugars come up. No, I don't trust myself behind the wheel after that.
Not today,
It's like
but
driving drunk.
not today, but maybe tomorrow.
Sure,
There's
sure.
always an exception to the rule.
Like, I really got to go to work. Like, we're
Right,
gonna,
right. Why is she drinking that big 2 liter driving?
mind your business.
Look,
Insulin needs to get paid for. Okay.
right, right. Gotta seriously, that's a whole nother issue. Like,
It really is.
because there are many other chronic health conditions where it is federally funded to care for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but for why why isn't it gifted to us? I do not I I mean it belittles me. Like, why not? If we don't have this insulin, we don't live. I mean,
And I think it's about, like, the pharmaceutical companies, they know that. They can get a lot of money out of diabetics because we need that. Same with cancer patients. Chemo is expensive. But what are cancer patients going to do? Not have chemo? It's unfortunate, but they're like putting a paywall for us to live.
right. And as I tell people, it's almost like we're paying to die.
Mm,
Like,
hmm
really, the burden that is living with a chronic health condition is it's too much for anyone.
And you said in the episode with Charlize, I think, or I can't remember her name. I
Charlita,
apologize, Charlena. You mentioned, and I didn't know this, that when insulin first came available, it wasn't offered to people of color, Black people.
it
And
wasn't.
I'm like, why did I put? Obviously, it wouldn't have been, but I just was like, that complicates our story so much further because
I
there's
have
probably so many of us who have died
so many of us,
unnecessarily.
so many of our family members probably. So, I mean, we only can go back so far.
Hmm
I mean, at the turn of the 20th century, I mean, when you consider like the average life expectancy being about 50 years old,
Sure.
who's to say what people were truly dying from?
hmm
Uh, yeah, I've done research on this for at least maybe the last 12 years.
Mm.
Every scholastic read. I've even spoken to people in like other countries, such as like India was the first country where people of color were garnered access to insulin, and that was I think 12 years after 1922.
Mm.
In the University of Toronto, where kids who were comatose from being in DKA were awakened with that first shot of insulin. You know, by the time they reached the last patient, the first person was waking up. None of them were people of color.
Mm.
In a place where Toronto, where the indigenous population far outweighed any other population that was there. So,
Yeah. May I ask you a question? I know this is you usually ask the questions, but do you ever feel burnt out doing this? Like the research, the podcast, the giving back, does it ever take too much of a piece from you?
It does not.
Mm.
Um, and I've been telling people this, and I've spoken to my medical team about this also, that a big reason why I don't deal with the burnout today that I dealt with years prior is because, I mean, being an empath at heart, like helping other people, reaching community, linking people together, and just lessening the burden that is living with a chronic health condition that is type 1 diabetes truly helps me mentally.
Mm.
Um, like I've worked as an art and trauma therapist, and I've run many different programs uh, from people from different wakes of life, different communities, mostly marginalized, disenfranchised communities. And that type of work has always like affected me, like work that you take home with you, like wondering like how is this child um going to sleep for more than 3 or 4 hours tonight? This family doesn't have access to food, don't even have a home or heat and things of that nature. Those are the types of things I always took home with me, trying to figure out. But with diabetes, like I know what I did, the measurable steps I took to be at my best.
Mhm.
So I have to be able to gift the community equally the things that I've learned. I will never ever turn my back on our community. And it truly helps me. Like I cannot tell you like when the last time I've dealt with diabetes burnout.
Mm.
Maybe before the pandemic, 2020, no, the beginning of the pandemic, yes, because of the NHS review on people living with diabetes and how it was like a greater chance of us not being able to fight off what is the coronavirus and infection if we were to acquire. So yeah, during that time, like I dealt with some like significant burnout, like because I mean I'm thinking about my family, my children, my wife. Like COVID was something that we knew nothing about, and it was so much of a stressor on me, on my brain, just trying to figure out and place things in order so that if something were to happen to me, that they would be okay.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
no, I resonate with that because what I decided to become after being diabetic was a diabetes educator. Because one thing I noticed when I was going through all my classes was that there was no one who looked like me. And I wanted to give back to my community in that way. Um, but during the pandemic, I was doing a lot of volunteering. And at one point, I was only talking about diabetes day in, day out, either my own or somebody else's. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can talk about this all day long. Um, because it was just taking too big of a piece. And I wonder if it was because, the trauma of the pandemic, like I'm sure there's that piece on there. But I've kind of taken a step back from the diabetes education piece, like as my actual career. And I've just been focusing on the volunteering because I can control how much of myself I can volunteer. I can control, like, I'm going to say yes to this and no to that. But if it's my job, my 9 to 5, plus and then I got to go home and then take care of my own self, it felt like too much. So I've been kind of sitting with how that's been making me feel.
I equally relate to that, what you just said about, I do relate that directly with the pandemic, like that burnout piece, because during the beginning stages of the pandemic, it was like all I wanted to do was talk about diabetes, like, and help people with diabetes. Like that's all I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about. Like, I formed a group called the Dia Crew during the pandemic. It was like 4 of us, type 1 diabetics from across the U.S. And we would come together and have meetings, give resources, guidance, support to people. Like we had educator, therapist,
Mhm.
someone who worked in mental health. Like we all worked together to try to lessen the burden. And we all equally were like, we had to take a break from that because it was like we were all going through equal burnout at that time. And it was like we started off having like meetings twice a week, and then that turned into once a month, then once every 3 months, and then the next thing you know, like it phased out. It was
Yeah.
too much.
Hmm.
Like, yeah. So I equally understand what you're saying because I also was many people don't know this. I was going I was going to get my uh, certified diabetes education specialist certification,
Yeah.
and during the pandemic I decided to switch that, and I was like looking at everyone abroad and near, and was like, no, I'm going to work more into public health and global public health at that, because I mean I felt that there were people, especially people that look like us, that weren't being reached.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, can I ask? I want to ask you. You said you're not originally from the Northern California area. Where are you originally from?
I've always lived in Northern California. I'm just not originally from Sacramento.
Okay.
I spent some time in Petaluma, which is kind of near San Francisco, and then from fourth grade until college, I was in Vacaville, which is I would say halfway between Sacramento and San Francisco.
So you've always been in California
Hmm. Yeah.
and northern the Bay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, when you say the Bay, I say, tell me when to go. Tell me. You know,
Yeah.
E40, Too Short, Golden State
Yes.
Warriors, all of
All the
those things.
classics. I
Yep.
remember going to the East Coast and was surprised when I was at a club and I didn't hear any of those songs. I was like, what is this? Where am I?
And it's crazy because no matter where you go, it's like that. Like if you go to New York, you won't
Hmm.
hear, I mean, you might hear some of the songs from my area because I'm in the Philadelphia area. You might hear some of the music, but it's mostly all New York music. If you go to
Mm,
DC, all you hear is go-go club music.
mm.
Like seriously, like that's all you hear. And if you go like down south, that's all you hear is like trap music. Like
Yeah.
look, the girls in the club, like they're gangsters. Like it's crazy. So and you go over to the Bay, they're all getting hypey, right?
They sure are. They sure
Mhm.
are.
Like it has to be fun times. I've never actually been. I do have the opportunity to go to the Sacramento area soon, though. Part of a
Right.
partnership that I'm working on within this diabetes space. So I'll be out there shortly.
Awesome. Sacramento's fun in the summer. There's lots to do.
Yeah, I've never actually been to California at all. Trying to think. Nope. I've been to Vegas, Nevada.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yep. But never California.
Okay. I
Soon,
hope you
soon.
enjoy your stay.
Soon. Are there beaches in that area? Or is that all
I would say the
southern?
closest beach. I mean, there are beaches like, there's some, there's even beaches in like San Francisco, like Oakland, Berkeley area. But like Santa Cruz, I would say is the most popular like beach destination for this area. And then if you want lakes, that's going to be Tahoe.
Okay. Previously you mentioned you originally were a bio you wanted to work in I don't know, biomedicine, bioengineering, uh, but upon that diagnosis and everything
Mm-hmm.
else, you decided to switch your major. Was that something that you wanted to be since you were younger, like working in biomedicine? And it's crazy because I recorded with someone today that actually does work in biomedicine, clinical research, and all of those things.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm a big like research nerd. Like whenever we get projects where we got to pick a topic and then like explore the internet for all the things, like that was always like my niche. So, and I love medicine and I like helping people. So I figured, biology was a good mixture of all of those. But it was just way too competitive for me while trying to like manage my new life. And I don't know if you're familiar with like impacted programs in college, but biology was one of the impacted ones at Sac State. So you kind of had to pass with certain grades to move forward, and I just wasn't getting those grades. And so when I left, I kind of did a lot of thinking about what my strengths were as a student. And I kind of fell back on that research. And what do you do with research? You write. And I am a really good writer and I write a lot. And it's really easy for me to write instead of taking a test. So I was trying to think, okay, what major could I do that capitalize on my writing that I could do? And then like, do my diabetes stuff on the side. And surprisingly, I was also a psychology minor. So I found, gender studies, and it was a really interesting mix of, the social construction of gender with science, with health, with history, just like it was like an amalgamation major of a bunch of different areas of life that I found interesting. And I was just able to write. There was no tests. There was a few like speaking things, but I'm a good speaker. And it was a great way for me to finish school in something that I enjoyed and not feel just absolutely wiped at the end of each day doing bio related stuff. Cause I needed that energy to learn about my diabetes.
To take care of that newborn baby.
Yeah, the baby was always crying.
Look, and it's
Always crying,
still
always hungry.
crying. Like the baby is 9.5 now and it's still crying. Like, feed me too much
Yes.
food. Take me for a walk. No, I can't walk right now. Like, that baby is just tripping. Like for real. I mean, being in Northern California, so that's considered like Silicon Valley. Science
Sure.
and the world of science is very competitive in the Silicon Valley area. Like seriously, like dating back the last few, maybe the last 4 decades.
Yeah, it has. And honestly, a lot of college programs are in psychology. I mentioned psych was another minor I had. That's impacted. Business is impacted. So there, I was just trying to find an option of like, what can I do to finish and get out of here? Because I was very much under the impression, like my dad instilled in us that it doesn't matter what you get your degree in, but you need to get a degree. You need to be competitive on paper. And so I knew I needed to finish, and gender studies, women's studies with my psych minor was my way out.
It was your way in.
Sure, my way my way in / way out, And then I took a year off and I got my master's in public health because I wanted to do health education. I still do. I'm not sure on the trajectory yet. I gotta see how much of my time I can give to diabetes in like a work related fashion.
Understood. Look, diabetes does truly affect everything, even though people you'll see it all day every day where people say, oh, diabetes doesn't affect that. As long as I have insulin, I'm good. And I'm like,
Okay.
what is your A1C, about a 20? like seriously, like what magic insulin do you have? Like, do you have that smart insulin that I've been waiting on for the last 2 decades? Like, come on now. That's smart insulin. Once it gets here, come on. Like when your blood sugar's going low, it automatically cuts off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sign me
like
up.
right, right,
Sign me
right,
up.
right. Even though the hypers equally get me, like I can't stay elevated like above a certain number for too long, or I'm the worst person ever. Like
Me too.
Yeah, not
Me too.
Incredible Hulk, but like Incredible everything. Like, you don't want to see that beast.
Yep.
I did what as how has diabetes affected your relationships? Like family, friends, significant others.
Yeah. I mean, it affects them all the time. I mean, I've had to reshuffle my friend group many times. Luckily, I found a husband who he played rugby with a type 1 diabetic. So he was very familiar with my needs and like my illness. And so he's been very supportive over the years we've been married. Um, my family's gotten a lot better. My parents didn't always understand why I was so depressed because they were, kind of that toxic positivity of, well, at least it's not cancer. And that wasn't helpful to hear at the time,
Hmm.
nor I think is helpful to hear ever. Um, but now, like my dad says, he would give me his pancreas if he could. And I'm like, that's nice to have, but man, you know what I really needed 9 years ago was your emotional support. That's what I needed. And it's a lot better now, but I had to do a lot of pruning of that like social bush that was my life and keep the roses.
And dad, as I said to my dad, it's not your fault. You didn't know. Like he did not know. That was another missed piece in education and
Sure.
um especially dealing with adverse trauma because
Hmm.
first off, like they didn't give you the needed resources to attack the trauma that you were enduring.
Right.
So there's no way that he could have known. But yeah, some hugs, some early on hugs,
Early on.
like for real,
Yes.
like shed a tear with me.
That's
Like,
yeah, because they we were talking about hypers, and I get really angry when I'm high. And my dad would contribute it as like an insult to his parenting. Like, I didn't raise you to be this way. I'm like, well, dad, you have a new daughter now.
you
You
didn't
have a
raise me
daughter
to be
that's
a
on insulin.
diabetic.
Right. You got to learn how to deal with the punches. Because yeah, no, my friends would say, no, we always knew when you were high because you turn into a different person.
Yeah, that's like that makes me think like I wonder if parents who micromanage their children, like when they notice they're like they look at the numbers like, oh, he's at 260. Yeah, he's being
Hmm.
combative. Like, do those parents like let me give him a little bit of insulin? Like, do they do like sneak go? I call that a ghost bolus. Like, yeah, let me
That's
fix
so
that.
funny.
Like, yeah, and it also makes me think like, do they even tell parents of young people when they're diagnosed the different emotional stages that are living with a chronic health condition? Like, because it's so much physical stuff that is dropped on us. Like
Yeah.
carbohydrates, like I mean, I'm great at math. I've always been great at math, but now the math I know today, like I feel as though I shouldn't even have had to have went through math in like elementary, like high school, like all those like that math, like this math I have today. Talking about graphing and equations and calculus. Like, come on now. Who knows it better than us?
Right. Like I said, we're the smartest people I know.
True, true. Like,
Because it's not just the carbohydrates, the fat, it's the added sugar, you
hmm
know,
The
like one of my
adrenaline.
favorite things, adrenaline. Geez. Yeah. That's a curveball.
Right. Is
Mm.
adrenaline getting you right now? Like, yep. Like I noticed last year going to my daughter's basketball game, going from like entering at 87, and then within half an hour, I'm at 267. Like, oh, I gotta start setting temp basals. Like to go to her basketball game. Like, seriously.
Yep. Yeah,
So
one of my first dates with my husband, we went to like a water park with a bunch of friends, and I got on two rides and was 300 the rest of the day. And I told my now husband, like, hey, like, I need to chill out for a bit. Like, I can't be doing these rides back to back if my adrenaline is really like an issue. And he said, oh, we'll just sit. And so while the rest of our group was out having fun, he and I just sat at the food court
A
the
little
rest of the day at
meditation.
the water park. Yeah. I'm just waiting for my blood sugars to go down. I'm like, oh yeah, I think he's a keeper. He's willing to sit with me
Right.
at a theme park instead of going on the ride.
That's a great guy. He probably was like, she's doing too much.
Right. Let me sit her down.
Let me sit her down. Look, and today he's like, he probably knows, he probably can see and sense a lot of the things that are changing within your blood sugars before you even notice them. Because, we live with this. So it becomes almost like innate, natural. But
Right.
for our spouses, that's a whole nother ball game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has like a drawer full of Milo snacks on his side of the bed, and he will like wake me up and be like, "Hey, it's time. Your CGM didn't do its job. Like you need to eat this." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I trust him to take care of me, and he's been doing a great job at it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Our spouses are everything. Because I mean, who else would who else would like literally like really like the things that we go through the day in and day out emotionally, how how quickly it can change and alter.
Mm-hmm.
Our glucose levels alter our mind. And for them to stick with us and be with us with that juice box, handling it, look, giving it to us like we're a little 2-year-old toddler, spilling it all over ourselves. Like that's like I'm over here thinking like, should I name this episode "The Toddler Within Adrian"?
I mean, you have it. The baby needs to
Babe,
come up because that is so funny.
yeah, baby steps. Baby steps to success.
Baby
Like,
steps with Adrian.
yeah. Right. Oh man, it's like 38 weeks. Like, yeah, it's funny because like I remember even more recently, I was in the kitchen and my blood sugar was so low, and I'm just standing there at the counter, and tears are coming down my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was an emotional thing, and I'm like, this damn diabetes and showed up at the wrong time. And my wife just came behind me and started rubbing my back and gently, like, as my blood sugar came back up, and she just stood there the whole time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
who else would do that? Like,
Right.
yeah, maybe about a month ago, I woke up. I have to tell this story. We were telling stories, that rapid fire thing. So I was having a lucid dream where I was stuck underneath mattresses in our bed, and I was just trying to get myself out of the mattresses. You know the thick plastic that comes on those mattresses?
Yeah.
I was trying to rip the plastic off, and my wife steady tapping me because I'm pulling the blankets and sheets off the bed. 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and she's like, drink this, drink this. I'm like, I'm fine, I'm fine. She's like, that's not what your CGM says. It says you're at like 54 or whatever. And I said, I'm okay, I'm okay. It's 54, but my adrenaline is going.
Right. Right.
And she's like, get up, get up. And I'm like, no, I'm still ripping this plastic. I'm trying to get out of this plastic. I'm stuck in these mattresses. And look, and she's steady pouring juice down me, and I'm like, I don't need this. I don't need this juice. Leave me alone. And then the next day, I said to her, I said, babe, I said, why didn't you give me the glucagon? And she's like, I didn't even think about that one.
Yeah, that might have been a glucagon situation.
right, right. It was funny though. It's something to laugh at. Like
Yeah, that's good old dream logic, man.
diabetes is something, I mean, it's so much of a pain. We only can smile sometimes, laugh
Yeah,
sometimes. And I wonder if
absolutely.
if that the reason why a lot of people see is who don't truly see us on a day to day, and our management may think that as like we're truly handling it. Like, oh, it's
Hmm.
nothing. They have that diabetes thing.
Handled.
Right.
And it's like, it's kind of like, you say hello to your coworker. Oh, how's it going? Oh, good. How are you? You're not really asking how they're doing. It's just you're just getting through the motions of that conversation. So I feel like when my family asks me like, "Oh, how's your diabetes?" I'm just getting through the motion of that conversation. Because like, do you really want to know? Do you want to know
Look,
what happened last night? Because I can tell you, but I think you just want to hear that I'm doing good because I look good. I'm smiling.
look, I'm on a whole nother opposite end of that. Someone asks me, I'm going to tell them exactly.
It's
Like,
exactly.
look, I'll be like, not the best today. Not right now.
Not right now.
Yeah, I got to do something. So, I do want to ask you, um, do you have a diagnosis story? Like, I know you said the doctor ran your labs and your tests, but when you think back on getting that diagnosis, do you have like a story that follows with that, even more so, now that you have and you're living with diabetes, you can see, or you can like, because you truly remember your life before then and how
Mhm.
diabetes has altered it.
I was never hospitalized. I've never been hospitalized for my diabetes. Um, I'm kind of a perfectionist at fault. And so I kind of took it as like, okay, another thing to be perfect at. Um, and it was really hard to learn, and I still feel like I'm learning. It's not something I can ever perfect. Having, a pump is great. Having a CGM is awesome. Like I feel like I can manage my diabetes a lot easier than I used to be able to. Um, but I guess my story is a journey of accepting myself, who I am, and how I will never be this perfect diabetic. And I don't need to be. Um, that I've lived 9.5 years with diabetes, and I'm still here. And so I'm doing a great job, and it's that uh, the self care of reminding myself that I am doing something so difficult every day, and I'm excelling every day. I wake up, that's an achievement. Some of us we die in our sleeps. So every day I wake up, I thank God that I'm here another day and going to try again. To have my blood sugars be somewhat decent. And I'm lucky to have a great endocrinologist now who doesn't shame me for my A1C. Because that was another kind of struggle was finding an endo who understood me and wasn't always striving for lower and lower numbers, who saw me as a person. And so I guess my story is still continuing as I live, but it's a journey of self acceptance and trying to resist that urge to be perfect.
Resist that urge to be perfect. That was needed to be stated because so many people who are living with this burden that is type 1 diabetes, it's hard to resist that urge to be perfect because, so many scare tactics are being put in place
Mhm.
when we are diagnosed, when we may be faced with the unknowns that are diabetes, the future complications that may arise, even for people who may live with a non-diabetic A1C, such as myself, years of diabetes still do affect me. They affect my memory, my mind, my abilities and capability to do certain tasks. It affects like I've had multiple frozen shoulders, my legs, my feet, like everything. It truly does affect it, my mobility, my balance. And you you stated from the jump, like being 22 and that bio major and having to transition into a new world, a new identity. But in this conversation that we've been having, I can say, Adrianne, you deserve that reward, that certificate in life, as you may have not completed that biology major, but the degree in life that you've been able to handle in biology, that is you, Adrianne, you've more than succeeded. You've more than achieved. You've more than conquered, reached, and overachieved those dreams that little Adrianne had working in medicine, as you told us. You are truly, you've truly gifted the community the realities that are living with this chronic health condition over the years. And I truly appreciate you being unapologetically you, because for the last 9.5 years, you've been raising, you've been re-raising Adrianne to be the person that you want Adrianne to be. It's been almost a decade. You've been raising you for a decade more, relearning, retraining, going through that entire process and doing it over and over again. That's something people not living with this condition understand, that there's a relearning process. And just to think, like, one day we're going to be 70, 80 years old living with this. That's going to be a real, like a great amount of relearning and retooling, because we're not going to be able to do the things that we do today. And with that, Adrianne, I must ask you, this is how I wind down all of my episodes. And if you've listened to any, then you may have heard this. On the day a cure is here,
Mhm.
I speak it into existence. On that day, that almighty day, that magical unicorn sprinkles its fairy dust all over and eradicates what is type 1 diabetes. It's gone. We wake up and it's gone. No questions. No questions at all. It's just been vamoose. On that day, because currently today you've been living with it and managing it, conquering it for almost a decade. That decade hasn't always been its easiest. What do you do at that moment when you wake up and you realize diabetes is gone?
I'm tempted to give my funny answer, which is burn all of my medical devices and my DME equipment. That would be the first thing that I do. But I guess I would do whatever my heart wanted, because there wouldn't be any of the planning, the preparation that I need to do every day to manage myself. You know, food, exercise, amount of sunlight adrenaline, none of those factors would be a problem anymore. So I would just go do. I would literally listen to what my heart says, and whatever inner Adrianne wanted, we'd be doing that. No expense, just going out and doing it and not thinking twice and not having the baggage that is all these diabetic related decisions and all these consequences and all these side effects, and just living consequence free.
Consequence free. I can't even imagine
It's like waking up and not being black anymore.
it. Right.
Like, it's just so part of who I am now. I dream about it. Like in my dreams, I have my pump on. So it's hard to even fathom what it would be like to not have it anymore as an adult, as a 30-year-old adult, you know, because I'm different now that I'm in my 30s versus 20-year-old me, you know? So I guess I want to do all the things that 20-year-old me kind of didn't
Missed
get
out
to do.
on.
Yeah. Or did messily, sloppily, because I
Right.
was not mentally there.
You don't remember doing, but you did. So many things like people have to like remind me, like, you don't remember doing this? Doing no, we were
And
there.
I always blame it on like my ADHD that I'm pretty sure I have, but it makes me wonder, it might just be my diabetes. Like every weird thing that I might have, I think it might just be my diabetes. I always forget about the memory piece.
Diabetes had me driving in circles.
Yeah.
Like literally, like, I mean, diabetes gifted you a 10-year-old today. Like boy, your diabetes baby is growing up. He's trying to get on the AAU team. It's an expense, like seriously. Yeah, it's a lot of baggage with diabetes, but diabetes has done one thing for me, and I hope it does for everyone. It gives us a community that of people who we can truly resonate with, share our success stories, share our stories of burden, our stories of burnout, and overall just come together to be unapologetically us. Adrianne, I thank you for gifting me your presence on what is the Chronically Will podcast, where we hold real conversations with community that need to be heard.
Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed this time with you, and I've learned a lot, and I can't wait to reflect on this experience today.
Thank you. Before we go, is there anything, because you came out with this book, you told me you were a writer. Is there anything we did not cover that you feel?
No, I feel like I touched on everything. I mean, maybe like some things more than others, but not enough to like hash out another 30 minutes or anything. You know, I feel like I touched on everything.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Adrianne. I truly appreciate you, my sister. This first virtual meeting was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.